Welcome back, everyone, to another segment of Super Tuesday on the Educational AD podcast. We'll be right back with today's Super Tuesday guest, but like always, we want to give our sponsors a shout out. You've heard me mention many times before, these are all companies that I used as an athletic director. You should be using them too. So here we go. Stay with us for the next 3 minutes. We want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo and see their score tables and their score boards in action. Their products not only generate income for your athletic department, they also create the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Set up that web demo today. We also want to say thanks to our friends at Snap Mobile. That's the parent company. Snap Raise is their fundraising platform. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser with little, if any, return? Stop right here. Go to snapraise.com. Hands down, the best online fundraiser available. We used it at our school. Tremendous success. Coaches loved it. Our parents loved it. You're going to love it too because it works. They also have a lot of other platforms like Snap Sponsors, Snap Store, FanX. Check them all out at snapraise.com. We'd also like to thank Gipper, the official social media graphics solution for our podcast. If you go to Gipper.com, their team is going to show you how to create world-class marketing content that's going to help you celebrate your program and promote your teams. Gipper's used, trusted by over 3,000 high school and college athletic programs across the country. It's professional graphic design made simple. That's Gipper.com. We want to thank our friends at Home Campus. Home Campus is the exclusive high school and state association management platform for us. It's also your one-stop for things like scheduling, all the things that go into athletic eligibility and clearance, digital forms, signatures, helping parents, helping coaches. Home Campus is something that I used every single day as an athletic director, and you're going to use it too. Go to homecampus.com to get signed up. That's homecampus.com. We also want to thank our friends at Athletic Surveys. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your players, your parents, or your coaches, you're really missing out. You already hear back from the people that want to gripe and complain about something. Athletic Surveys will connect you to that small group, but they'll also connect you to the 98% of your groups that support your program. And that's a tremendously valuable tool to have when you're talking with a frustrated parent or your principal or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to help you take the pulse of your athletic department. That's athleticsurveys.com. We also want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Their mission is to help you bring your school's legacy to life. Their interactive touchscreen video consoles are a great way to show off your school record boards for all the teams or your school's Hall of Fame, or simply share your school's most compelling stories. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Mention the podcast. You'll get a nice discount. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Huddle. Go to huddle.com and change the way you see the game. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school, and our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided that allowed them to coach our kids up to their highest level. At Huddle, we believe in sports and teams believe in Huddle. Join the 8 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. And we want to thank Hometown Ticketing. Hometown is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. It's digital ticketing that offers more support, more security, more customization. Go to hometownticketing.com. Let their team help you make the best solution for your online ticketing. hometownticketing.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another session of Super Tuesday on the Educational AD Podcast. Today's guest is an old friend. We're visiting with Morgan Jones. If you've listened to the podcast, you've heard that name before. Morgan was an outstanding Division I athlete, a pro athlete, and she's taken her skills and become a speaker, a mentor, and a leader in the area of educational athletics through her initiatives called Athletes to Visionaries and also the Vision Box. And we're very glad that she's back with us on Super Tuesday. So, Morgan, welcome back. And what do you have for our listeners this week?
Yes, glad to be back. So this week we're going to talk about parents. Oh man, how to build positive rapport with your parents. And this is a growing issue, if you will. I hate to call it an issue, but deep down, I think a lot of coaches are in this spirit of how do I just keep them out of my way so I can do what I do, and it just wasn't work like that. And so today, we're going to talk about some, just like a strategy and just like one thing that all parents truly at the heart of it, they want. Because, at the end of the day, parents are not the enemy. We don't want to frame them as the enemy. We don't want to give off that type of energy. And they're a vital part of the athlete's journey towards their goals. We talk about like a pathway to college athletics, which is most athletes come in with that vision, right? And that hope to be able to play at the next level. Parents play a huge part in them being able to do that. A lot of the times I look at the time that they're spending, right? And they're spending, 8, 9 hours in school every day, maybe 3 hours in coaching, and then they go home and they're with their parents. They're with their parents on the weekend. And a lot of coaches know that, the athlete that you get in the gym is a reflection of the parenting that is happening at home a lot of the time. And so you actually are really in a very unique position to be able to bridge that gap for the direction of the child's and the athlete's goals, and then maybe some of the reality of the parent dynamic and what they do and don't know about the process. So if I were to come back and say, okay, what's one thing that parents are looking for from coaches, is consistent communication. Consistent communication. When you have consistent communication, essentially what you're doing is you are building and yielding trust. This whole dynamic of getting to the college athletics and, parents putting the time, right? The effort, the money, the resources, the the therapy, whatever, all of these resources that they put into helping their child have a positive and bright future, can cause a lot of like anxiety. It can cause a lot of worry at times, that they don't oftentimes know, can they trust this process that this coach says they have? Can I trust them that if I continue to pour into my child in this sport of golf, baseball, softball, basketball, that I'm going to see some results? And so what I've found is that when we have consistent communication, we're able to land on that trust that you need for them to allow you to do what you do and step out of your way. But it's when they don't have clear expectations, when they don't know really like what's going on, and if their child is being coach, mentored, attended to, that's where that fear comes up and they step all into your space. So how do we land on clear communication? Okay, 3 ways. Number 1 is you really want to be clear from the start of your season. What is the athlete's goal and what is the parent's goal? Because oftentimes you may think you know their goals, but you've yet to ask them. So you're really just assuming. Sometimes athletes don't have aspirations to go and work to get a Division I scholarship. Like the whole ecosystem of sports tells you what you should do. Sometimes they just want to be in peer leadership, or be with their friends. They want to, be a part of something, a sense of belonging that they're looking for. So it's really about, 1, getting clear on the goals of the athlete and then the parent. When you get clear on the athlete and the parent's goals, now you know how to encourage and motivate that athlete to get more out of that athlete. A lot of the times, coaches are motivating athletes with empty air. Like they're motivating them on their own agenda of like what they want for the team. The best way to motivate an athlete is to correct them based on their goals. If an athlete says this is their goal, well, then what you do is you take their goal and you backtrack it to their behavior and you ask them, does that align? That's how they'll consistently know that you care, right? And so it's the same thing with parents, understanding like if they establish their goal with you of what they want for their child, then you're able to nurture that throughout the season. So that's number one, be clear with your goals and your athlete and your parent. Number two is going to be choose your communication channels. There are so many different ways to communicate with those you lead. Specifically, right, you've got social media, you've got email, you've got group text, WhatsApp. There's a lot of different channels that you can consistently communicate through. All are okay. I would highly recommend staying out of Instagram like groups. That's not very professional, but just choose your channels. So is that a group text once a week on a Sunday that says, hey, here's the look ahead for the week. This is what to expect. Is that an email, bi-weekly, what have you? You got to figure out your cadence around your communication channels. And then number three is going to be really encourage dialogue and feedback. Now, a lot of the times parents just want to feel like they can like come to you and get like an honest and open and authentic conversation from you about their child's progress. And there's two ways you can do it, and you can choose, whoever's listening, what probably is the best way to do it. It's one, you can wait until there's a problem where then the parent's coming to you, or you can be proactive and you can set these kind of preseason, midseason, postseason meetings with the athlete and their parents to keep them on board of the process. Because at the end of the day, every single one of us evolved through a process. And so when you think of it that way, any improvement we want to see takes time. And so if you put processes in place for feedback loops, they'll be more effective, you'll have more buy-in, and then ultimately you'll have their trust. So all in all, they're looking for consistent communication so that they can trust their resources, their time that is being spent with you is something that is going to pay off for their child in the long run. So now, Jake, how does that match up with the AD podcast world and listeners? Does that resonate?
No, I mean, absolutely. And again, I can look back at my own, let's say, high school experience. I had a pretty good career as a high school athlete, and my parents supported me, but it never once ever occurred to them to go up to any of my coaches and say, hey, you got a minute, coach? It just wasn't a thing back then, 100 years ago. Now, it's different. And I guess I could say it's not right, wrong, good or bad. It's the way it is. And so what we do in our world, since you ask, actually a couple of years ago, I was part of an authorship team that created a new course for our leadership training program with the NIAAA called Not Dealing with Parents. It was called Partnering with Parents, because they're going to be involved. And so the communication part that you led with, 100% spot on. Parents, even the ones that are not going to, let's say, bust your chops about their kids' playing time, they just want to know, hey, when's the game? When's the practice? What color shorts is my kid supposed to have? They want to help out. But for those, let's say, more involved parents, as an AD, you need to be, and you talked about this, proactive. They are looking for a role. They want to be involved. And if you don't give them a role and tell them their role, which is, again, what we do, they're going to find a role that might not be the best role for you, for your team and the program, and the best role for them. So absolutely, communication and be intentional, be proactive. You hit probably the two biggest ones right out of the park.
Yes. And that's, and going back to that, the goal setting aspect of things, right? And how important it is to understand your athlete's goals. And I want to back up a little bit on what you did say about how it's changed and it's different. I still came up in a time where there was no social media, like you couldn't transfer like you do now. Everybody went to their local public school. Like it's different. It certainly is different. And there's a lot of, voices out there that parents, athletes can access through social media and online, that they're just constantly working on trying to clear the way of like, what is the way? And so as their coach, you get that opportunity to build that trust that they can lean into what, subscribe to your leadership essentially. But a way to do that and to build that trust is really knowing your athletes. And that is a way where they won't get distracted by so many other voices of YouTube videos and what have you, and influencers and experts. And they can say, my coach knows me. My coach understands, the heart and the soul of like why I do what I do, or why I show up, or why I am the way that I am. And man, the amount of walls that they will run through for you when they know you care, I mean, that is the formula to having a winning culture, is to make sure that those that you're leading know that you truly care about them, their well-being, and their future. And so that is why I created the Vision Box. Let's see if it shows up here with my like filtered background here. Okay. Oh, kind of, sort of. Anyways, the Vision Box I created, it's a visual goal setting kit with 4 interactive exercises that help athletes be able to take a concept of an idea and really transform it into their reality. So the exercises will go through effective goal setting, value defining, vision casting, and then really creating a powerful collage of what it is you want to be, how you want, what is important to you, the impact that you want to have, the role that you want to play for yourself and for your teammates. And so gifting this to your team to either do as a team bonding activity together creates a lot of really strong team morale and understanding, or even individually working with your athletes and gifting them the Vision Box so that then they can go and do it on their own and bring it back to you. And wow, what a powerful conversation to have around something that your athlete took the time to go through and then share with you. And now you can hold them accountable and encourage them towards the vision for their future. So I would encourage everyone that is listening right now is go get your bundle of Vision Boxes for your team. When you're starting the season, it is a great time to reset and say, what is our vision for this season? Or if it's postseason and you have a plan, or you want to see them maximize their post and off season and not just make it something where everyone goes, kind of idle for 4 months or what have you, and say, let's maximize our off season and get a vision for how we want to grow when we're not with each other every single day.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. And again, for our listeners, our guest, Morgan Jones, she was a Division I athlete. She's a professional athlete, and she's taken her experiences and created a number of resources that are just going to be spot on for you, your coaches, and for your coaches, student athletes. So the Vision Box is one of those resources. I don't want to sell the rest of them short. So Morgan, for one of our listeners, and listeners, I encourage you to do this. How do they get in touch with you? How do they find out more?
Yes. So on my website, morganmjones.com. So you can go there and look at the different speaking topics that I speak on, organizations that I've worked with, and then how I can better serve your organization. And then on there as well is the visionbox.com. So in there, you'll be able to actually see the intricacies of the box, what's included, and how you can purchase that for your team.
Okay. So Morgan Jones, the Vision Box, also Athletes to Visionaries. Tremendous resources, listeners. Make sure you check it out. Morgan, thanks so much for sharing with us again on Super Tuesday. And, we're well into 2024 and spring sports. All the best to you and your efforts with helping athletes, coaches, and ADs.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, looking forward to your next appearance. For our listeners, we appreciate you listening and want to remind you we upload the Zoom recordings to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this every week, so come back next Tuesday for another great Super Tuesday guest, and just about every day for new content on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Before we go, we also want to recognize our sponsors because these are great companies. I used them as an AD. You should be using them too. We want to say thanks to Hudl. Go to huddle.com, find out all the things that they can do for you and your program. We want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. At my school, we use surveys for everything, and the data we collected is just a tremendous resource. Go to athleticsurveys.com. We want to say thanks to Home Campus. As an athletic director, I used Home Campus every single day, and you're going to love it too. Go to homecampus.com to get started. Want to say thank you to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to their website, sidelineinteractive.com. You can schedule a live web demo, see their products in action. We want to thank Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com to get started. Want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to show off your school record boards or your school's Hall of Fame, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. We want to say thanks to Gipper, the official social media graphics solution for the podcast. Start creating world-class content for your school social media channel on Gipper.com. We want to say thanks to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle. As an AD, we were a Huddle school. Go to Huddle.com for more information. And if you're looking for a fundraiser, stop right here. Go to SnapRaise.com. Hands down, the best online fundraiser out there. SnapRaise.com. Thanks again for listening to this episode of Super Tuesday. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.